This episode is brought to you by Nespresso and Samra Origins by the Weekend Coffee Collection.
Introducing Samra Origins. My collaboration with Nespresso is a connection to my roots, to my mother, Samra. Coffee that hits the right notes. It transports you. Crafted with unique notes and bold, soaring flavors. Experience a taste that moves you. Nespresso and Samra Origins.
Discover more at Nespresso.com.
This episode is brought to you by Indeed. When your computer breaks, you don't wait for it to magically start working again. You fix the problem. So why wait to hire the people your company desperately needs? Use Indeed's sponsored jobs to hire top talent fast. And even better, you only pay for results. There's no need to wait. Speed up your hiring with a $75 sponsored job credit at Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply.
More rewards, more savings. With American Express Business Gold, earn up to $395 back in annual statement credits on eligible purchases at select shipping, food delivery, and retail subscription merchants. Enjoy the benefits of membership with the Amex Business Gold Card. Terms apply. Learn more at americanexpress.com/business-gold. Amex Business Gold Card. Built for business by American Express.
You're listening to the Super Rugby Cymru podcast.
Hello and welcome to this week's edition of the SRC podcast. Joining me, Big M, as always, Double R, Rob Rees, and Bucky John Harris. Good evening, gentlemen. How are we?
All good, all good.
Yeah, good. Just about recovered now from the weekend. Takes a bit longer these days, but yeah, all good.
So I'm going to take you back before the weekend, actually, John. So you might remember some of this. Thursday night, little game in the league live on S4C. Ebu Vale at home to Bridgend. You know, obviously Ebu off. Little bit of a bad result in the SRC Cup final. Get to put things right straight away, straight on telly as well. At home to Bridgend. So, Rob, I'll let you just run away with this because this was a game that we can all go and watch if we want, if we haven't already. And it was kind of dead and buried by halftime.
Yeah, do you know what? After the opening 10 minutes, you sort of wondered which way this was going to swing. So obviously, Aberavon had gone up the doors and got a couple of early tries. You was thinking, right, this is looking like a 6-pointer in the bag, and 2 tries in 6 or 7 minutes, whatever it was. You're sort of thinking this is going to be ominous for Bridgend, but Bridgend were persistent. I think they came with the game plan. They didn't want to go for the sticks too early. They wanted to combat the Aberavon's try scoring ability. Got themselves back in, and sort of 15 minutes in, it's a game. They missed a shot at goal to bring them back within 2 points. And that was sort of where the game fully turned. You sort of feel it was really open. The Bridgend was sort of getting a mixed bag out of the set piece. Their maul was going reasonably well. And that was probably quite surprising for a lot of people. And once Aberavon had sort of solidified the scrum, there was a couple of yellow cards, in that sort of second quarter that really did kill Bridgend off. Going down to 13 men. They obviously, 2 front rowers went off, but they replaced the 13 and one of the back row. So you're looking at an empty midfield channel, and with Harry Wilson dropping in from the Dragons, I think they utilised him brilliantly. I mean, Cam Davis was used as the one-up runner, simple offloads, and that's what created the Kobe Reese try, which is fantastic for anybody who hasn't seen it. As you say, the game is pretty much all dead and buried at half time. Again, that sort of third quarter saw a couple of scores, and once the subs started coming on, it turned a bit niggly and it turned a bit, sloppy really from both sides. You had the fracas right at the end of the game that resulted in Ethan Phillips' red cards, which has obviously been overturned since. No TMO made that sort of entire sort of scene really a bit, not farcical, but a bit disappointing, because ultimately Craig Evans is ahead of the play when the stamp takes place on Evan Lloyd's, and from what I can gather on from people on social media, that looks like Ebervale pursuing it through official channels at the moment. So I guess it's time before we see whether that is pursued and what sort of end result comes there. Then you've got the linesman says the punch is thrown. Evidently, no punch was thrown, and that's why it's been overturned. And the game pretty much ended there, especially when Craig blew up with 76 minutes on the TV clock. So it sort of summed up the second half, really. But yeah, the Shield is defended 6 points. I think Jason Strange leaves this one relatively happy. Ethan Phillips back from injury. Some well working partnerships with the Dragons. So yeah, they'll be pleased. Job done.
Yeah, I mean, we've spoken pretty much a lot on air, but seeing as you are here almost every single week, if we look at Bridgend, if we we get rid of this the cup competition, because they managed to have 4 cup games on the bounce. One of I don't know how many of the teams actually managed that, to be totally honest. Their last few games, in the league, they had win away up in RGC, win courtesy of John's Aberavon, run Newport really close, 3 points in it, and now this. So where do we think the issue is for Bridgend? Now I know we've spoken about their size and physicality possibly being it, but right now, these last few games they've gone through Ed Howley as a 10, Harvey Nash as a 10, now reverted back to 9, and Paul Short as is once again available. So is 10 really the biggest issue for Bridgend?
I don't think it's the biggest issue. It is a major issue, and of course, missing the likes of Ben Burnell and Luke Price are going to be massive losses. Obviously, Ben Burnell was there and he took part in the warm-ups, which probably indicates he's not too far away. But I think Bridgend's biggest problem is probably one of their biggest upsides. So one of their biggest upsides is Scott Baldwin still thinks they can win the league. They go in for it. Obviously, the playoff system allows them to do this naturally. But in doing that,
the thing, everyone's still in it.
Yeah, exactly. So of course they can physically still win it.
Yeah, someone has a bad day. Look what Swansea did on the weekend.
Don't
turn up on the right day.
John, you
turn it down, John. Come on.
Oh, yeah, man. But yeah, they go in for it. They're playing that expansive rugby. But what we've seen recently, and Scott openly admitted this around the RGC game, is it's a brilliant sort of game for the attack coach, less so for the defence coach, right? And that's where they've been letting themselves down, is in the big games or far too many times this season. They're conceding north of that 30 points, and unfortunately, if you're conceding anything around that 25 plus mark, you're just not going to be in games, and that's the problem. It's one thing saying we're going to be in a game and we're going to win games, but it's another thing saying you've got to be competitive. Whether the message is right, that they still think they can win the league, I don't know. You've got to instill confidence, but have you got to be realistic as well? Probably a little bit of that, but yes, it's not ideal. Their fly half situation, but interestingly, for what was probably going to be one of the more tough games that they've played in that little run that you mentioned, they reverted away from Harvey Nash at fly half, put him back at scrum half, sort of thing. And yeah, it's that sort of balance, and sort of, I'm not really sure what they were thinking with that. So obviously, if they've been giving him game time, was that just until Paul Short managed to come back in and get a job done, and then Harvey and Chris Williams are going to be back at sort of scrum half. But yeah, that's, to me, they're a bit of not a mismatch at the moment, but they're a bit of a muddle around the defensive side of it and combinations. That's probably hurting them most.
Yeah, we'll see more and what happens with Bridgend this coming week when the 23 gets announced for this coming Saturday. So, John, Bridgend do kind of fall under your purview. So you haven't spoken on this game at all yet. So is there anything else left to say if we're looking at it from a Bridgend POV?
Well, I think if you're Bridgend, you've got to be a little disappointed with this one. I know it's tough going away, but it'll probably be the toughest place to go to But it felt like Bridgend were built. They seem to do that. They have a couple of good weeks together. I think, they build in Bois. This is where they're going to start getting on that run now that we keep expecting them to go on, and then it comes to a shuddering halt, like quite abruptly. So it is tough to deal with the Aberavon pack, mind, as everybody knows. So when that may not be your strongest point anyway, when you go up there, you are going to struggle against that sheer size of the Aberavon pack and the power they've got. But if you were Bridgend, you'd be thinking, oh, well, if we can go up there now, we can score tries. So if we can go up there, get four tries and stay close, we could at least come away with a couple of bonus points, which, with how close that sixth downwards is, because I think Pontypool have pretty much got fifth zone up now. Yeah. But that sixth spot is open to 4 teams. So every point is going to count at the moment. There's 5 points separating the 4 of them. So I think they'd be disappointed they haven't come away with something. But no, Bridgend now, they'll have... they could go on another little run again now. They start putting some performances together. So may never know. Baldwin might be right now. They might just time it right to go on a run all the way to the final. Who knows?
So I think we just heard John say Bridgend are going to win the SRC. Was that right, Rob?
Well, no, because obviously Aberavon are going to win it. But
all right, I think you've led me nicely into that. So we're on to the Saturday games now. And were you at tag for Aberavon against Cardiff? I need to ask that first.
Yes, that was.
Yes. Okay.
Yes.
So before I let you carry on again, 31. Yeah, let me have a think. 31-3 down at half time. In all fairness, you win the second half 19-13.
Yeah.
But you concede a penalty try within the first, 3-4 minutes of the game.
Very early, yeah.
What happened?
Well, it was the first scrum of the game, and it was the first set as well. So I think that the referee set his stall out very early. It was the first scrum. Cardiff got the shove on, and the ref's just gone straight under the posts. I mean, no, in fairness, Aberavon are missing a full first choice front row. Rowan Jenkins, Luke Davis, Geraint James, who would be additions to any pack in the league. So you are, because of course there's the knock-on effect. I mean, if you're not missing a whole front row, then your bench is going to be, you're missing your second choice then from the bench to bring on later. But honestly, it's horrible to say, but that first half is probably the worst half I'd seen Aberavon all season. Because they've been picking up a lot of points lately in losing efforts. Like in the last 4 games, they've had 2 losing bonus points 3 times, and a losing bonus point away to Cardiff when they played them. So I was hoping, I went into this quite optimistic. I thought, we're playing well. We're getting close against the big clubs. So maybe now one of them coming down here is what we need, and this will be the one where we get over the line and get that W, which we need, especially with other teams winning around us. But that first half, I don't know what happened. It really wasn't good. The boys looked tired. They looked disinterested. But in fairness to Cardiff, they were so sharp that first half. It was like everything they were trying was working. They were just carving Aberavon open at will, it seemed like. There was a lot of one-up tackles missed, which earlier in the season I was saying was something going very well for us, was the defence. But now we seem to be shipping a lot of points in these games, 30s, 40s every game, which, we were scoring 30s, 40s ourselves, but not in this one. It turned around a bit in the second half, but like you said, 31-3 up and cruising. Cardiff are going to take their foot off the gas a bit. But it's also hard, it's easy for Aberavon to completely capitulate after that first half, but they did come out and show some fight. They were close to getting a losing bonus point out of it, which would have been something. Ashton Evans again, number 8. He was trying his best all game to give Aberavon go forward, and succeed in the second half. And asking for the ball for a 5-meter penalty, just give me the ball, I'm going to tap it myself and score, which he did. Ed Dunford at 10 was trying to come up with every trick in his bag. No pun intended from the Wizards, obviously. But it was Cardiff were just far too good on the weekend. I'm hoping they could take some heart out of that second half. They did win the second half, but like I said, Cardiff were so far in front and cruising. They took their foot off the gas a bit. They struggled to contain Mackenzie Martin, who was playing second row in this game. Didn't realize how big that guy actually was until seeing him on the pitch. But he was very, very strong, and it was taking a lot of people to bring him down, and they really struggled to contain him. So I don't know. I'm worried where we go from here now, because we've got obviously Llandudno away next. That's not what you want when you're trying to get your season back on track. But we've got to play I think it's all top 5 teams we've got left. Now we've got, apart from RGC away in the last game, we've also got Pontypool, Ebbw Vale, Llandudno. So it's a tough run in. But they're still only 1 win away from that 6th position where Bridgend are, and they've got a game in hand. So it's still there. It's in their hands. But they need, and I was talking to a lot of the players in the clubhouse after there was no one more gutted than them. They were putting a show on in the clubhouse after they were doing the Masked Singer or Masked Wizard, and they did debate not doing it because they didn't want the supporters thinking we're coming out and having a laugh and having fun after that performance. So they knew how poor Saturday was, so they didn't need it drumming into them. So just really hoping now that Saturday would be a reaction, because that was easily the worst performance of the season so far, I think. So hoping outcome when they've gone back to training this week, we've got to put this right, because that wasn't acceptable. Yeah.
So I am going to be as fair as I can to Aberavon, but and you made a good point in there. Before this league game, their previous tour, they picked up 4 bonus points between the two of them. 2 losing bonus points and 2 try bonus points against Pontypool and Newport. So 2 top 5 teams. You can't knock that. But
Llandudno too.
Well, you get 2 bonus points there. They all count. You're in the I don't like saying this, but you're in the bottom half. So picking up more than 1 bonus point, you're looking like you're going to gain ground on somebody. So, I don't think realistically you would have been thinking, we're 100% going to do this. We're definitely taking on this Cardiff side, because Cardiff are top of the league for a reason. And I do think they showed that just in the highlights. I know you talked about the Aberavon defence there, but it doesn't matter how poor the defence is. The attack has still got to be clinical. They've still got to be able to finish off moves.
Oh, they were excellent.
That's exactly what Cardiff did. They ran in 6 tries of their own plus the penalty. So, Rob, what are Cardiff's title chances looking like after this game?
At the moment, you'd have to say Cardiff, even with the fixtures to come, are favourites. The gap back to Llandudno's opened up. Yes, Ebbw Vale can overtake them with the game in hand, but you look at the fixture list, it's probably kinder to Cardiff, with a bit of congestion in there. And I think the pleasing thing for any Blue and Blacks fans is you've got some partnerships and big names back. Harry Wild at 10 now, obviously taken up after Josh Thomas has left to go to the Dragons at the end of the season. That's not a poor sort of replacement there. Elijah Evans, Stefan Manuel back in midfield like they were right at the start of the season before sort of some senior call-ups from obviously Derby Cross is back now a couple of weeks and back in amongst the tries. And I think this was very much a combination of Aberavon they look gassed, which was a worry for me, because you've only played 14 games. They've got some big run-ins coming up. but I've got a short turnaround in that as well. Like, it's 3 games in 8 days coming up.
Mm.
You know, that's not easy, especially if you're gassed at this stage. Cardiff, though, were clinical, and that's what this backline, it was basketball stuff, you know, checking over the top and out the side and everything in between. They were doing the nitty gritty up front, and you know, somebody actually said on Twitter or X, whatever you want to call it, the other day,
Rex.
how is Mackenzie Martin doing? You know, is he looking at getting back into the Cardiff rugby side? And they said he was outstanding in the Llandovery game, that they absolutely pumped the Drovers. You know, he's had an absolute classic year again. And I think, as you said, is the one shining hope from Aberavon's perspective is Ashley Evans looked dangerous in that second half. He looked like a man possessed. He looked like the captain that was just going, right, boys, this is what we're going to do. I'm going to lead from the front. People follow. They couldn't follow. They probably left it far too wide for it to be a competitive game, if I'm honest, especially when you consider Cardiff actually scored the first score of the second half. So I think it was 36-3, you know, within a couple of minutes. Yes, then a couple of quick Aberavon tries. You think, okay, here we go. But realistically, just fell short, you know, one try short in the end. And a couple of scores from getting the second bonus point. So, yeah, like I said, Cardiff now guarantee themselves top 4. That's the home quarter final. You know, on that sort of surface down there with the squad they've got and the squad that is currently available to them, you would have to say Cardiff on current form are the favourites.
Yeah, I would agree with him there. You know, a very comfortable 44-22 win at Tag, if I didn't already say that scoreline. On to the next match, and this is my favourite of the round, Carmarthen Quins, after months of getting
What did they do,
absolutely nothing. And I mean, I don't know how this happened. I know how it happened, obviously. They scored more points. 29-20. It does. It really does. Yeah. So 29-21 winners at home against RGC. And, you know, watch the highlights. You know, when I saw Lewis Morgan getting 2 tries, thinking, the Maul's been a bit of a weapon, but you haven't it? It really weren't. You know, getting those tries from open play was, you know, must have been nice for them. I think I was like his 10th and 11th try in the league this season. Might not more. I do need to check that. So, you know, good for that boy. Reading the match reports, and it really seems as though Carmarthen just controlled the game from start to finish. You know, RGC really struggled to get a foothold in the game. You know, they were just taking penalty chances just to keep the scoreboard close. Well, as close as they could. And they did start to come back into it towards the back end of the second half. But, you know, Quins dug deep. They got that 4th try. You know, so they turned this into a 5-point win, which is absolutely brilliant for a team that hasn't won since November. If I'm correct on that. It's absolutely...
Yeah, I think it was 22nd of November, I think, yeah.
So, you know, I did manage to get a bit of a comment off of Steph Thomas, you know, the Quins DOR, you know, they delighted, that's the word, to get the 5 points against Dodgy. And, you know, the confidence is sky high, you know, and, you know, he really believes in the core of this squad, the young players, you know, they're growing every week, working hard every week, this week especially now. And, you know, they're looking forward to giving the team they're visiting on the weekend something to think about. So, if I come to you, John, from RGC, obviously you've had a couple of battles with them yourself, seeing those fixtures. What do they need to do? Because obviously, is it just the ground that's the issue for them? Is it such a leveler?
Well, it seems to be, doesn't it? Because they play so well on these artificial surfaces, but when you come to the heavy pitches, like, you know, going Carmarthen Park, Pontypool, Aberavon, that was just like a ball screen, man. No, we got good grass, but we're right. No, but
every single game is involved. Every single game.
Oh yeah, got to do it. But fair play to. I'm really pleased for Carmarthen because, you know, they started the season so well. You know, we were talking about them being, well, it's saying that's their first win since November. It was their 5th win of the season. So by November they'd won 4 games. So they were doing really well. So the drop off was quite drastic and substantial. So I'm really pleased for them to have something to cheer about, knowing myself how rare wins are this season for certain teams. Then it's great for the supporters to have something to cheer about. Yeah, they looked strong again, like the Carmarthen you expect to see. Looking at watching the highlights, the forwards looked strong. They looked organised. The scrum was going well. The maul was going well. And if that's where you've got the upper hand, then just use it. Just choke the life out of the teams. RGC is still going to have some games where they can probably look to pick some wins up as well. I know we've got to go up there on the last game of the season, and it's been tough for everyone going up there this season to come away with wins. So they're still going to be. They're all pushing for that 6th place. So there is something on every game now, and as we've said, every single losing bonus point is going to be important to everyone. But RGC have won 6 games this year, so they just maybe are they not scoring enough tries though, because they've won more games than most of the teams around them. But they're still a few points back from Bridgend, and Carmarthen have actually leapfrogged them. So if they could start scoring a few more tries to get a few more maybe bonus point losses or maybe turn a 5-point wins, they're still on for them, especially if teams going to go up there, because no one wants to do that. But Greg, that is great for Carmarthen, and it's making this running really interesting now, because even if Swansea want to start sticking their own in, because they've won 3 out of 4 now, so I'm sure they'll have something to say at the end now, and they've all got to play each other. So this is making it it's really exciting now for the last few rounds before those playoffs start, to see who's going to get that 6th place.
Yeah. So one thing I do think heavily went in Quinn's favour is they made one change in their 15, and that was on the wing with Louis Rees for Evan Davis. And we know Macaulay Evan Davis is, he plays in and around everywhere in that back line. Fair play to the guy. So, Rob, I'll give you final word on this one, my friend.
Yeah, I think Quinn's had a bit of stability. Like I said, it's what we've said. They've missed those senior or regular players. Except you only go look at the front row: Reece Fawcett, Lewis Morgan, obviously their top try scorer and one of the league's top try scorers, and then Connor Allen, Ryan Bean in at lock. They're getting those familiar faces. The regular allocations. Keanu Evans has had a good season down from the Scarlets. Not a lot of changes around, and like I said, they dictated the game, which is what they probably did at the start of the season. Lewis Morgan was bagging tries. Yes, they were from mauls. That wasn't the case on the weekend, but he's really getting into things, and that's what they're actually doing. You need to be able to dictate a bit of leadership, a bit of gamesmanship, and just to see a game out. RGC, I think, where they're coming unstuck too many times this year. At home, they're smashing in the bonus points. They score in the 4 tries, every time for the 5 bonus points. They're probably defensively weak, and that's what's letting them down. They're landing too many points for a 6-pointer, and vice versa. When they're losing, they're not within 7 points. Again, this weekend, a prime example of that. Not quite staying on the coattails of their opponents, and that's probably slowing them down slightly to where they need to be. But yeah, hopefully this will kickstart Carmarthen's season again. RGC still looking pretty solid. A lot of points, in the past few games, even when results haven't gone their way. And as John's alluded to, there's only 5 points between that Bridgend and Aberavon, from six down to 9. Swansea are only another 10 points behind at this stage, and if they pick up a couple of results elsewhere, then the bottom of this table could get very tasty. Like you said, the bottom 4 will all play each other in a preliminary round in the knockouts before the quarterfinals. So there's still a lot to play for you. No one's going to want to go to Carmarthen Park. It's a tough place to play. Carmarthen in this sort of form dictate games. They play a game that they want to play, and equally teams won't be wanting to go up to RGC and travel. It's a difficult long trip, and vice versa for them to come down. But you don't want to be going up there. It's an overnight stay for most people, and then you're playing on an artificial surface, which is okay if you're used to it, but if you're not, it's another factor going against you.
Yeah.
A lot of players don't like these artificial pitches, do they? They're not liked by everybody.
No, I mean, my personal preference isn't for them, but I'm a pro. So make of that what you will. It seems to be forwards don't like them and backs love them. What make that however you want. Okay.
I just feel like there's going to be a lot of players when they get older. They're going to have a lot of knee and ankle and joint issues from these pitches.
Well, fingers crossed. There's been enough research, etc., to prevent these things. We are talking semi-professional standards. It's not just Council of Track to 4G pitching. Let's go play on it, sort of thing. You know what I mean? So, last of the Saturday game. Excuse you. I'll just let you pour your little cheapy cans of, some weird Middle Eastern or whatever it is from beer. All right. Final game of the Saturday. So, was potentially shock of the season. 10th place Swansea at home to Llandovery. And by and large, the game started as many would have expected. Llandovery scoring a try through Jack Maynard. And then what happened from there, I can't explain. I'm hoping one of you guys can explain because I'm really lost for words. 42 points to 24. Like, quite literally before this game, Swansea's only victories have come in a scrappy win at home against Aberavon 10-8. And then 2 wins against Carmarthen Quins, who at that point were on like a stupidly amount of games lost in a row. So to come out against the current cup winners, literally within 9 days of them winning that cup, current double league champions, this is something else. So who do I want? Rob, let's go with you. Take it away, my friend.
Yeah, I think this is 100% shock of the season, and not just because of the result, but because of the manner of the result. That's an emphatic 6-pointer. Llandovery have literally been pummeled here. Yeah, there's no other way to say it. I mean, Llandovery here are at risk with this one result of missing out on top 2, which that home semi-final. These are the sort of ramifications of these sort of results at this stage. But all credit to Swansea. They've played some absolutely fantastic rugby. I mean, I thought Houston, Cornelius were absolutely fantastic from an Ospreys perspective. The pack dominated though. That's the biggest shock for me. Was they were winning the collisions. Llandovery looked like if they were going, they thought they could rock up at St Helens, stroll around, take a comfortable 6-pointer, and leave. And Swansea were much hungrier. A bit of a reverse to the cup finalists. Aberavon came out hungry and needed that win and desired it, to really try and get into people. Llandovery looked the exact opposite. The maul for Swansea was getting on top. The scrum was much better, and not that the scoreline flatters Llandovery in some ways, but it was a bit of a flurry in the second half that Llandovery pulled a couple of scores back. Otherwise, this could have seriously been an absolute hammering rather than just the scoreline it was. So, yeah, this is the result we've all been saying. We've been saying for probably a couple of months now. Swansea been building. They've built a 40-minute performance into 60. Now they're starting to control teams. The Carmarthen game that we've seen them win not so long ago, that was forward dominance, and that's unusual. Quins with a strong pack. Swansea sort of not renowned for it, and we've highlighted that as a weakness. And now
away as well.
Yeah,
they got that away win. Yeah,
and probably definitely for the first time this season, there's been an 80-minute performance from Swansea that included forward dominance, some Harlem Globetrotter stuff in the backs, and that Llandovery just seemed a bit stunned. And like I said, it leaves Llandovery now 12 points shy of Cardiff, and was it 7 points shy of Aberavon, who played one less game. So Llandovery Cardiff in a little while is looking very, very tasty tie.
Yeah. So I personally think top 2, this has knocked Llandovery out of top 2 contention. They are relying on a good couple other results to go their way. I did get to hear off Euros, and I'll talk about that when we get into the fixtures for this coming week. So, John, again, Swansea, under your purview, you've been begging for Swansea to come good, and hopefully it's more than just the one match. But if it is just this one match, how happy are you to see this?
Happier than probably most Aberavon supporters would like me to be. Wanting the Jacks to win, but yeah, no, they've had such a horrid time of it this season, haven't they? And it was like, no, they haven't just for any result like this to have come at home would have been fantastic for them. For it to be against Llandudno as well, the reigning, defending, undisputed champions, cup winners, 9 days prior, but not only cup winners, but sorry, Rob, but dominated Aberavon in that final as well. So it's not like Llandudno were in poor form going into this. There was last week, 2 weeks ago, we were saying Llandudno were probably the form team in the league now, and looking like they were going to go on and finish top, and who was going to stop them? So it's mad how quickly things change around, but really chuffed for Swansea. The league needs it as well, because, we want a strong Swansea in the league. We want all the teams to be as strong as possible, so that whenever we get a match, we're going to be genuinely in an hour in who's going to win it. And it's thrown a bit of a spanner in the works. The teams above them now might just be looking over their shoulders a bit, because I think that's 3 out of the last 4 league games they've won now. So they're hitting form at the right time. But, well, we're lucky everyone goes into the playoffs anyway in some form. So you wouldn't want to go, well, no one's going to go down there, but you wouldn't want to be playing them at the moment, not when they can pull out a performance like that. Great to see. I think Matthew Aubrey had a really good game. Joe Thomas, again, I'm a big fan of Joe Thomas. I think he's a quality operator. He's always seems to be. Oh, he is, yes. I forgot about that. So that's probably weird, but I've seen a lot. So, yeah, but I've seen a lot of him. So, Chris Davis, a prop as well. Another really good boy. I'll be here all day if I keep naming ex-Aberavon players for Swansea. But, yeah, I'm really chuffed for them. And like I say, to get because we said at the start, similar to Bridgend, like were they a bit lightweight up front? So to see that they've got that pack, competing with these big teams now as well, is because their backs have been outstanding this season. I think every time I see the highlights from Swansea, the tries they've been scoring from their backs have been fantastic tries. They try of the week, try of the month candidates every time you see them play. So they just needed that solid foundation up front to get those players into the game as much as they can. And like I say, well, like you just said, Llandudno coming out and scoring straight away. It's easy for Swansea to drop their head straight away if they think, oh God, is this going to be one of those days now? But then they've come out and absolutely annihilated them that first half. The bonus point wrapped up in the first half. I think it was. That's unbelievable. You don't get a bonus point against Llandudno in the first half. And then they've come straight up in the second half as well, and then put it to bed. And like Rob said, a couple of late tries for Llandudno. Maybe, like I say, maybe not flattering them, but that last one's come in the last minute of the game. So you could easily be looking at 42-17, 42-12 from this one, which would be ridiculous. So it really made up for them. I would say this could just be a blip for Llandudno, but I said that a couple of weeks ago when Cardiff went up there. So Llandudno very up and down at the moment. They have an outstanding performance against Aberavon after the Cardiff result, and then go down to Swansea where they would expect to come away with 6 points. And they've been played off the park. So, yeah, I think you're right. They're probably going to miss out that top 2 now, because Cardiff and Aberavon, sorry, I don't see them dropping the points necessary for Llandudno to then leapfrog them into second. But it's still Llandudno, so they can still turn up on a day and beat anyone.
Yeah, 100%. The only positive I'm taking here from the drawer's perspective is that they didn't come away with nothing. They did manage to get that bonus point. It was clock in the red sort of situation, but they did get that over the line. I don't want to say job done, but they got that part of the game sort of okay. That's roughly what, 4:15 on a Saturday afternoon. Normally all SRC rugby is done then. But this week, oh no, we had a Sunday fixture, something that's becoming a bit of a regular feature now in the run-in for the league. We've got another one coming up. Newport against Pontypool. Now, Rob, you are Ebbw Vale. This is Gwent. First, what was the thinking behind having this game on the Sunday? And then secondly, what a game. What an absolute game.
Yeah, so it's Rodney Parade. So both of their Rodney Parade games this season for Newport are on a Sunday. And yeah, absolutely fantastic game. We mentioned after they clashed at Spitty Park in the Cup in sort of the final round of the pool stages the other week, they lacked that bit of intensity and it didn't really have that Gwent derby feel. That went absolutely out the window. This was, blood, guts and fire. Pontypool got 21-0 up. And, there's an interception in there. I'll be honest, some absolutely shoddy defending from Newport. And you're thinking, hang on a minute, Pontypool with some quality players in there, Morgan Lloyd, Ewan Rosser, absolute rapid sort of backline they've built there around some Dragon sort of assistants. You can't see a way back for Newport. But Pontypool sort of they didn't seem to carry any confidence from scoring those. It was like we've scored them, but Newport have given it to us, and Newport built back into it. They built around the set piece. Pontypool looked knackered, I'll be honest, around the hour mark. They just tailed off. The bench was a massive boost for Newport, and even though this wasn't sort of won by Newport until right at the end of the game with that try. It's from 21 points down. That's an absolute stonking victory. 5 points in the bag. Yeah, any other sort of day of the year, this is massive. But for this one, it killed Pontypool's top four hopes. I'm sorry, it has. It's all over. Pontypool have got to do a bit of fixture hoping here that Newport drop away. I mean, you only got to look at the table now. Newport 55, Pontypool 47, with only 3 games to claw that back. And Pontypool have got to host Cardiff yet at Pontypool Park as one of their fixtures. So, yeah, this is a proper good old derby, really. It's the Newport Pontypool derbies of old, and we could probably go back to the 70s and 80s year. It's it's niggly, it's up front, it's smash mouth style, but this was played on a glorious day on, obviously, as we'd expect, on a professional surface, absolute bowling green. No, this was not played at Aberavon, John.
No, it's much better to see that Rodney Parade as well. It just looks so much better. That's where they should be playing.
It does. And yeah, the rugby followed suit. Yes, the defence coaches will be bit disappointed. It was a lot of missed tackles, but then on the upside of that, let's look at this on a positive tint. The rugby was attacking minded, well executed, and like I said, there was plenty of pace finishing off.
Yeah. So, got to talk a little bit about Pontypool. They probably should have put this to bed. Like you said, 21-0 up. I don't want to say it's shocking, literally firing squad sort of position by year, but it does hurt. Obviously, a derby making it even worse. Props out to Kieran Meek, 3 conversions, 2 penalties, and a drop goal. 3-2-1. That's how you do. Spoke earlier in the season about Newport, about their situation at 10. I thought Karen Penny looked okay at the start of the season. Obviously, Will Reid not featuring anymore. Obviously, up with the Dragons. Obviously, O'Brien. I can't even think how to think right now. Not really a mainstay. Have they found their 10 with Jack Lloyd? Converted every single one of the tries, got a penalty, and you don't score tries without a decent 10. You know what I mean? Unless every single thing is coming through your line out on your maul, you got to have a decent 10. So, is Jack Lloyd Newport's answer at 10?
I don't know if he probably is their answer, but I don't know if he is the answer. I mean, what you look at is how you defend in those sort of channels and what you do around, the 10, 12. Yes, he's kicked nicely, but what we haven't actually seen, before the dogs actually interrupt all of this, is any control at the start of the game. The interception thrown right at the start, all of this is a little bit of game management, that control. Yes, he's had a brilliant game off the tee, but it's a beautiful surface and the conditions are perfect. And it probably helped by the sense if you're 21-0 down, let's be honest, you think the game's gone. So most players start chucking it about. You sort of it's no risk rugby at that stage until you get back into it. Obviously, then it becomes a bit more tense again, and he's obviously finished it off nicely. I think he's got a lot of room to grow. It'd be interesting to see if they choose Matt O'Brien to do that now over the next sort of season and a bit. But yeah, I think that's the key is going to be consistency in the jersey for me. I think we'll see if he's going to be good enough if they give him consistent game time. They can't bring Matt O'Brien in for the Aberavon game and then Carwyn Penny's going to have a game before the end of the season. They've got to go balls to the wall and say, if Jack Lloyd is our number 10, he's there. Because Matt O'Brien's not been turning up to training. He's with the Dragons most of the time. You can't rely on someone who's going to turn up and do a bit of magic. He just hasn't got it because he's not there every day. Um, Jack is. Give him a chance. Give him the run out. Um, I think the problem is at 15. Do they go with Owen Davis, who's obviously signed directly from the Dragons when he was released there, or do they go with someone like Carwyn Penny, who they've obviously brought in as well? So it's these not fixture clashes. Sorry, it's the positional clashes that they seem to be playing around the fixtures. Certain individuals seem to play big games and then seem to drop away or disappear, and those sort of mini battles. Locke, obviously, another one. Max Williams, Joe Peards, Landman. Obviously, Landman's suspended at the moment. But they haven't settled on partnerships this year. And I think that's what's cost. I won't say cost Newport. I mean, they're still top four. They're probably going to get that home quarter final. They're only a point behind Landevery. And we all know how well we speak of Landevery. But I do think that Newport haven't given us many 80 minutes this season.
No. So, John, finish the past weekend's results for us. Anything left to say on this one?
Well, if Swansea and Llandovery was the result of the season, I think this was probably result of the weekend. This was probably the game of the weekend. It was a fantastic one to watch. Looking at again, I've only got the highlights to go on, but they were really entertaining highlights to watch. I could say Pontypool racing into that 21-0 up after 24 minutes. I think if that's most other teams, you'd be worried about what's going to happen for the rest of the game. But I think that's one thing Newport have got, especially when they're at home. They know that right, we can get back into this. We are we are good enough. There's plenty of time, and we can get back into this. They didn't help themselves that first 20 odd minutes either, with interceptions but they scored some amazing tries in that first. Well, after the going 21-0 down, saw one from a kickoff that they caught in their own half. Beautiful break and bit of optional tackling, and they scored a fantastic 70-meter try. And that's one thing they can do when they cut loose. Newport look so good when they cut loose. So I think the top two is gone for them now. But they such a good, again, they're one of these teams though, if they on their day, if they turn up and put a full performance together, they can beat anyone on their day. And I'd even say the same for Pontypool. They'll be disappointed with that one because, again, we keep saying that we feel like Pontypool are a top four, but it feels like you've got the top four, you've got Pontypool, and then everybody else. They seem to be can't quite crack that top four, and can't seem can't seem to quite get these results. But no, they're competing with them. They're competing with them all the time. But just feel like it just needs that one that'll really step them up. Then they're so close to it. There's just something they need, that little extra something, and that top four is going to be a top five. But that's the beauty of the playoffs at the end of the season as well. A one-off game. Anything can happen, but they're not showing at the moment. They go against the top four sides when it comes down to it, that they can get over the line. They can compete with them, but they can't quite get over that line to actually beat them. So maybe this season is just a season too early. It is only the second season back in this top flight, and they've done fantastically well. But I think this season might be too early for them. But I think if they can build on what they've done this year for next year, then that top four could easily be a top five next year. But I'm looking forward to seeing what. And they've got some tough games to come as well. Obviously, they've got to come down to Aberavon, so they'll lose that one.
You gotta love the confidence, even though it's deluded.
But they have got saying they've got Swansea at home tomorrow, but and then what else have we got? Sorry.
Oh, come on, John.
I know. Anyway, yeah. Point is, you're still one of those teams you don't want to play, Joe, because you don't know. So
you don't know.
I'm looking forward to these next few fixtures and seeing where it all ends up.
So that brings us to the end of this week's past results. If you've made it this far, thank you so much. Please like,
well
share.
Done. Well done, you.
Well done, you. I mean, to listen to us ramble for 50 minutes at this point. Wow, we're going for today. It's a tough job. Okay, so let's just try and be a bit smoother with the fixtures coming up. So there is a Thursday night game, but we'll leave that one to the end. So first one up, we've got Carmarthen Quins travelling to Ebbw Vale to take their little shield off them. Rob,
Ebbw Vale. Me optimistic.
Yeah, do you know what? This sort of game just sums up the sort of ones that you think Carmarthen can sort of get into, but I just don't think they will. It's that sort of forward battle. We had this exact fixture in the Cup not so long ago. That was a 6-pointer for Ebbw Vale. I just think even though we've seen Carmarthen Quins look a little bit better in the past few weeks, and obviously back on board on the winning train, I just can't see past Ebbw Vale winning this at the moment with the strong set piece that they've got, and it's at home, and they just seem to step it up for the shield.
Maybe John. What about you? But does it go in any way different?
No, I don't think so. I think it's got to be Ebbw Vale, isn't it? Especially at home. I'd love to see Carmarthen go up there, turn them over, follow a home win up with an away win. But then again, not actually, no, because I don't want Carmarthen Quins scoring too many points because we need to finish above them. But no, I can't really see anyone going up there, Ebbw Vale at the moment and winning. So no, sorry, Carmarthen. This is an Ebbw Vale 6-pointer, I think. Sorry.
Oh wow! You boys are going to be, licking some tough wounds next week when Carmarthen finish off the season with that little trophy high above their head. Yes, we went to Ebbw, we put them in their place as someone's needed to do all season. Obviously, no. Already spoken last few weeks. Predictions league. It is hotting up. I do need to pick some different ones. And when you get a win like Carmarthen did, it really does boost that confidence up. I believe in the players they've got. I am going to go Carmarthen.
I believe that we will win.
Yeah. No, I'm going to back Carmarthen to keep this winning run going, even though it hasn't technically started yet. Next one up, we got Llandovery at home to Aberavon. And like I said, I heard of Euros this week. So disappointing result and performance. Talking about Swansea, it's always difficult to refocus after a cup final. That said, I thought Swansea were excellent and fully deserved their victory. Must bounce back this week. A win will more or less guarantee us a home quarter final, which is essential. And, that is a bare minimum for, Llandovery at the start of the season.
Yeah.
And, even now, I am going to say that, yes, probably the emotional side of it has had an effect for that Swansea game. You get a massive result week one, and then week two, it's hard to get up for it. I mean, we see it in all levels of the sport. It is something we see in with the Scarlets when we beat the Bulls at the park, and then we really stuttered the following week against Zebra. So it's not just semi-professionals and amateur. It does happen at all levels. But saying that, this is going to be a nice, comfortable Llandovery win. Rob, over to you.
Yeah, as we say, this has been one of those ones we've always said about how Llandovery bounce back with everything. They bounce back from sorry, John. They bounce back from that Cardiff result with the cup final. I think we'll see similar here. I think we know where the injuries are with Aberavon at the moment. I don't think Geraint is too far from coming back. I think he was 2 to 3 weeks. That was around 2 weeks ago, from what the club put out roughly. So he may be still that week or so away. But yeah, for me, I think Llandovery have got that bit too much up front, and the way that their backs can open you up if Aberavon don't close down that space in the sloppy defending, then Llandovery will run riot, unfortunately for John.
For John. Now it is to John. How badly are Aberavon going to lose this one, bet?
So it's left to me. Right then. Well, I think this is going to be the one. This is going to be the one where I don't pick Aberavon to win a game.
What?
What? Traitor.
I know.
Revoke his clubhouse access.
They've worn me. I know. I'm going to pay for that. But
okay, mate, I just got to say...
They've worn me down.
Mate, I have got to tell you, I'm a fair bit back on this predictions league. You were even further. So if you're looking to try and gain some ground, it's kind of pointless.
I know. That's God, the weekend just gone buggered us all up, mate, didn't it? So, yeah, I would love to say it, but, we are struggling with injuries, just to put that out there. Maybe if we were... the sun's going to be in our eyes. We're going to be against the wind. Both halves, because it'll change around. The ref's going to be awful. So I just think we can't overcome all that in one go. And yeah, and I think this happened last time with Llandovery. There was a bit of a bounce. I think we played them the week after Cardiff went up there and thumped them, and there was a bit of a bounce back. And see it happening again, to be honest. And yeah, Llandovery they're so good behind, and after seeing Cardiff cut us open in the way that they did it as well on the weekend and that's what was so worrying. So yeah, I'm sorry, I'm rambling. Yeah, this was one word answer. This was supposed to be. So yeah, Llandovery. Sorry.
You're fine. I'll be honest, John. I love your rambles. It's true passion of a fan just to hear you. You just don't want to stop talking, even when you're not making any sense to anybody. I'm the same.
Just trying to justify why I'm not picking my beloved Wizards.
It can't be that beloved if you're picking the Drovers. Ooh. Oh. Okay, I'm going to cut him off before he gets back in here. Bridgend against Cardiff. Noah, Rob, I'll let you talk first.
Yeah, this is one of those interesting fixtures. So the Cup, we've already seen this fixture in the Cup, and Bridgend picked up their first home win against Cardiff in nearly 10 years. Now, having said all of that, this is where the hope for Bridgend disappears. Cardiff were a much weaker side there. They're basically giving up the Cup as they were already out. And I just can't see where, at the moment, this is going to be a way in for Bridgend. The Cardiff backline is again getting settled. They're looking strong. Some real quality, some real pace. Up front, they've got some strong set pieces. They're probably not the strongest in the league, but they're very strong, still very reliable. and they've got those individual weapons. We've seen both Gwilym Bradley and Mackenzie Martin come down from Cardiff Rugby this past, couple of games, and that they make the impact. The Hud boys again still both going strong. So yeah, this is Cardiff for me.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. I mean, main thinking behind it on my half is the number 10 issue that we've already spoken about, and another backline player that has been so influential all season. Ryan Wilkins is now, I don't know if he's sunning it up or freezing his tits off down in Australia. I really don't know what season it is down there. But yeah, that's just another player of such immense quality that they're doing without. So, John, Bridgend or Cardiff, ramble away.
Cardiff.
Well, Cardiff will lose. Cardiff will win.
So, yes, the Cardiff are going so good at the moment. They're the form side in the league now, 5 on the bounce. Bookies think so as well. I forgot to do this for the other 2 games, but yeah, bookies have got Cardiff at 6-1 on for this one, 3-1 for Bridgend, with what are they giving them? A 12-point head start for Bridgend. And I feel like, as much as they did do them in the cup, but I think, like Rob said, there was a different Cardiff side. So I think Cardiff, for me, they look so good at the moment. They look really strong. So Cardiff win for me.
Last of the Saturday games, we have RGC hosting Newport. Now, it's at RGC. And my little phrase at the start of the season was, I believe in RGC. And even though there have been some results going against them, majority away from home, I do still think they are a level up at their own park. So I'm going to keep fighting this prediction league. And I'm going to go with an RGC win. So, John, straight back to you. Tell me about the bookies. Am I really deluded in saying this?
Old. Well, the bookies got RGC even money. Newport slight favourites, 4-5. 2-point head start for RGC in this one on the 10-11 handicap betting. And you know what? I'm with you on this one, Em. I got a feeling they play so well up on their own pitch, don't they? And Newport can have off days. Not many, but I think this could be one of them. So I'm going to go for an RGC win as well.
Now, I'm really hoping that Rob is going to be sensible and pick Newport here. So please tell me what you're thinking.
Well, yeah, I am. And do you know what, though? It's very, very close. I was considering RGC as an option. But I think Newport are playing, they've come off the back of some good rugby. They've played on a good surface. They've played in some good conditions. We're seeing that sort of change. Yes, those conditions do still equally favour RGC, when obviously the home surroundings favours RGC. I think Newport at the moment, they'll be very fresh in the mind that the pot don't undo the hard work you've done against Pontypool last week and open that top 4 back up. So for me, I think Newport close this one out. Just.
This is looking good, yeah. We've got two of the 4 where we've got a 2-1 split. I'm happy with this. Okay, so we're bringing it all the way back to the Thursday night game, and the reason we left it is on the off chance that we might get a bit of team news and a bit of a drum roll, and we got nothing. So Pontypool at home to Swansea, live on Espadrec S4C tomorrow, Thursday. So probably when you're listening to this, hopefully, if you listen at all, please. 7:15, I think coverage starts at like a 7:30 or 7:35 kickoff, whatever it is. So Pontypool, that's one of Rob's favourite teams. So let's have him, my friend.
Yeah, this is a really interesting sort of fixture because you've got a Pontypool side who've been a bit sloppy this past week, and Swansea who've been extremely clinical. But for me, this is a Pontypool victory. Is at Pontypool Park. We've mentioned how that sort of affects Pontypool being home or away. Swansea have naturally struggled and only picked up 1 away win this season. It's that for me is the difference maker. I think Pontypool will have just that bit too much oomph, that bit too much physicality, just that little bit of quality, and they know how to win these games. I'm hoping it'll be a decent game. At least we saw a very decent game. I think this game was actually the reverse fixture on TV right at the start of the season, and Swansea were winning going into the hour mark. So that's an interesting one.
Okay.
And then Pontypool pulled away and took 6 points, I believe. So yeah, Pontypool for me. But I think this is a good tie to have on S4C.
Very much is. John, tell us what the bookies are saying and where is your money going?
Well, bookies think this is going to be comfortable for Pontypool. It's 1-8 for Pontypool and 4-1 for Swansea, with Swansea having a 14-point head start in the handicap. I don't think it'll be that big, but I would love to pick Swansea to follow that win up now with another big win. But as Rob said, it's hard to back. It's hard to back them at Pooler Park. They're a different beast up there. But I think Swansea. It'll be a lot better than it was earlier in the season when they played, and Swansea just fell away after 50, 60 minutes, and it would end up very comfortable. But if they can go up there, come away with a couple of bonus points, then that's still good. I would love to see them go up there and win it, but I'm going to go for a Pontypool home win, I think.
Yeah, that makes it a Pontypool clean sweep, and not for the first time this season. Swansea's away form. I think we'd all love for him to do it, but we just can't see it right now.
Not today.
And not really in our purview, but there is a game going on at Talbot Athletic Ground on Saturday. John, are you aware of what's coming on Saturday?
No, actually.
We got Wales under 19s.
Oh, it's not the under 19s. Oh, the under 19s, yeah.
So, that's going to be...
Am I aware? I shared it. I should be aware.
That's going to have some impact on a couple of teams. I wouldn't have thought it'd be more than one or two players at any 23. But again, if you're in South Wales, within a trip of Aberavon, you've got nothing better to do. You want to see the stars of the future, and you can't make an SRC game. Pop down to Aberavon. There's going to be a hell of a lot of talent on show, and it's going to be an epic day as well. So, boys,
lovely sunny day, right off the train station.
How much is a pint, John? Let everyone know.
Oh, I don't know. I usually forget. It's low fours, I think.
Low fours. Okay, so you get in 2 pints and change from a tenner. I suppose that's not
because I've usually gone for a few before I get to the ground, so it gets a bit fuzzy.
Oh, so he's one of them. See, he's got a 6-pack before he even gets out the front door.
I like to get out amongst it.
He likes to socialise without affecting his wallet. Mm-hmm. That is the man we love. That's why he's bookie. Okay.
Just one for the ones I did miss. Llandudno 1-10 for that game. The biggest handicap of all of them with Aberavon 5-1 with a 16-point head start as well for the handicap betting. And the other one I missed, Ebervale and Carmarthen. Ebervale, this is the biggest one. Ebervale 1-18, 7-1 for the Quins with a 21-point head start on the handicap.
No. Up a drive.
Comfortable win for the Quins.
Just in case anyone wants to get their acca on.
Well, you've got to. I think this might be something we'll have to look into next season. Maybe putting on an acca ourselves. Really putting our money where our mouths are for these prediction leagues. All right, then, boys. Thank you so much for joining me. Everyone listening on whatever platform, watching YouTube, whatever. Thank you for being with us. Again, like, share, subscribe. We will do this all again next week, and we will celebrate new champions of some sort with Carmarthen Quins beating Ebervale. Till next week. Bye for now.
I'm Bridgend going to win the whole league. Super.
Woo!
That was the Super Rugby Cymru podcast. Please rate, review and share us on socials if you can, and join us again next week for more of the same. And until then, enjoy your rugby.
podcast is part of the Sports Social Podcast Network.
They got Willa. They got my daughter. I need to find her.
From acclaimed director Paul Thomas Anderson.
You can save that girl.
Today, experience what is being called the best movie of the year.
This is the end of the line.
Not for you.
Leonardo DiCaprio, Sean Penn, Benicio del Toro, Tiana Taylor, Chase Infinity.
Let's go! Here I come.
One battle after another. Now playing only in theaters. Experience it in IMAX. Rated R. Under 17, not admitted without parent.
You can't hide.